Greetings and thank you for joining me on the Victory Independence channel as the global debt crisis, the sovereign debt crisis, currency crisis, has really kicked off in 2010. I've been making an observation that I've been talking about, and I want to talk about it real quick today. Here the markets again go down. The Dow Jones down 3%, oil down 4.5%, over 4.5%, S&P down almost 3.5%, gold up 1%. Gold is not reacting the same way it did in 2008. Gold went down with the markets. In the 2000s, gold went up with the markets. So gold has really decoupled itself from that basic, relationship that it's had for the last decade or so, which I'm very pleased to see because things are going as I thought they would, going as planned, I guess you could say. I'm still in the belief that the markets are going to have a major contraction. The bubble's going to pop, but then what you're going to see is a reversal. And just like in the documentary Melt Up, you're going to see things get crazy priced in dollars. With the jobs report today, I've had so many people tell me, hey, be more optimistic. Look, I am optimistic. If you listen to what I'm saying, I'm very optimistic about certain investments, certain things you can do to better your life. I'm born optimistic. I was born optimistic. I'm 18 years old. I bought a house. 19, I bought my second house. Okay, a pessimist doesn't do those type of things. So guys, believe me, I'm optimistic, but I'm also looking at all the macroeconomic data going forward for the next 10, 15 years. I know that there is no driver for jobs, and looking at the states are drowning in debt. Income, according to the National Governors Association, they're seeing declines in sales tax, personal income tax, and corporate tax. They're spending less money than they did last year, 7% from last year, 12% from 2008. This is unprecedented for the states, having a 2-year spending decline, which actually is kind of a disgusting thing to think about, that these guys never decline in spending. But they're going to be doing layoffs. So not only is there no driver for jobs, but there's going to be forced mandatory layoffs from these state governments that have overbuilt their governments. If you look at a tract home in Southern California or some condos in Florida and you see all these vacant ones, it's because the builder overbuilt. Well, that's what happened to all these Keynesian politicians. They have overbuilt their economies. They have created jobs that should not have been. They should have never existed. So they're going to do some layoffs. Those are people who are going to have less money to put into the consumer-driven economies. Unemployment extension benefits and stimulus and actually hundreds of billions handed directly to the states themselves have helped things. They've showed the numbers kind of flattening out or bouncing up in certain areas at certain times. But the fact is if you look at the demographics, it's overwhelming. It's just a fact. People who have teenagers spend the most money. They put the most money in the economy. Those people, that pool of people has been growing for the last 3 decades. It's now on the downcline. It's going down. It's going to go down until 2023, and then it'll finally kick back up again. People who buy homes, that pool of people who buy the expensive big homes, that baby boomer generation has been huge, hitting their peak spending levels in home buying. And peak spending in general is over. It's done. It's behind us. It's going to contract. So when you look at sales taxes, when you look at corporate taxes, when you look at real estate property taxes, those things, there's no factual evidence. There's nothing to base some type of recovery or checkmark recovery, as some have been calling it, or V-shaped recovery. It's just not in the cards when you look at the hard data. Now, there's a stimulus by default when you look at foreclosures, and to date, I think I'm the only one who's talked about this publicly. When people go into strategic foreclosures, or let's say they just can't make the payment, so they finally just say, oh, the hell with it. It doesn't necessarily mean they lost their job. It doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have $1,000 to $1,500 a month to put into housing. It just means they're living for free, and they're taking that money and they're putting it into other things. More than likely, they're not saving it because we know Americans aren't savers. So I'm not just making some guesstimate. I'm just looking at the data and looking at history. And plus, I do talk to a lot of people who are currently in and have been in strategic foreclosures, and they're not saving. They're spending like crazy. They're going on vacations. They're buying cars. They're excited because they've got all this loot because they don't have any housing expense for 6 to 9 months plus. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick update on the gold issue as far as gold decoupling itself and becoming the alternative to the Forex market. You know, we're in unprecedented territory here. Here we have not only a world reserve fiat currency, we have a unionized currency in Europe and on a continent. We have something that is unprecedented going forward. And yes, people will say you're a pessimistic person, but you know what? The short-term stimulus statistics and the stuff from the BLS, it doesn't matter. When you step back, macroeconomic, look at the big picture, you will know that not only can you prepare, but you can get excited because by knowing the future, you can better your life. So anyway, you guys have a great weekend, and thank you for joining me on the Victory Independence channel. All right, if you made it this far, you are 100% Vision Victory subscriber, Victory Independence. So I thank you so much. You guys have noticed the new sponsor, and I'm going to have more sponsors. What I've done is I've ended my relationship with Google AdSense. What was happening is here I'm spending literally 10, 15, 20 hours on these videos on a weekly basis doing the research, and Google AdSense would run ads, so I would get paid when people clicked. The problem is the ads are basically unmanageable. Companies that were ripping us off were advertising on my channel. I don't like that. That really pissed me off when I found out. Everybody sees a different ad, so I didn't necessarily see what you guys saw, but I found out somebody had purchased through Goldline. Goldline was advertising on my channel. Goldline rips people off. So this is the deal. I am allowing businesses to sponsor economic updates on my channels, and they get a detailed and thorough investigation by me, a fact-checking by me, and they will also be subject to people who work for me calling them and pretending like they're a new client who got their information through my channels, and I'm going to have them be a little rough with them, and you know what? They're going to treat you guys right, because if they don't treat you right, they're gone. All right, you guys have a great day.